Coach Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats may have found their next hidden gem in freshman Ugonna Onyenso. He should be a senior in high school right now, but he reclassified up, played his first game today against Howard in their season opener as I'm recording this on the 7th. But just 6 points and 4 rebounds. But you can tell there's some traits with him that are really projectable to the next level. And we're going to get into some of that here. He had 4 blocks in this game, and you're going to see the rim protection. But what's really been pretty remarkable so far is the patience. When we go back to this play, he's in drop, and he does a good job containing, flipping his hips like that. Watch the way his hips just hinge and flip really quickly and fluidly. And then a lot of young shot blockers, especially those who should still be in high school, are jumping here multiple times, but he stays patient and waits for the smaller guard to release the ball, which is really impressive discipline. Here, similar, takes kind of a weird angle to cut this ball off, but he ends up getting it back and blocking the shot. His man come up for a DHO, and he kind of takes a wide angle, but it doesn't really matter, especially also against a team like Howard. But he takes a bit of a wide angle, opens up his hips, still able to shuffle and recover and block this shot. So impressive recovery, and then also high pointing skills. Again, impressive here to not jump and to high point the ball. Young shot blockers are very prone to that. This one's interesting, again, showing that recovery, speed, and instincts. So pick and roll, he might be a little bit higher than he should be on this side of the court, especially if they were scheming drop, but maybe they switch the scheme. But Shai Odom gets out of that screen quickly, and Onyenso is caught chasing. But again, that really nice length and great timing, because right when Shai Odom is leaving the floor, so is Onyenso. And he's able to block that shot, or at least alter it. I can't tell if I think he blocks it. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Here again, kind of in a mid-drop, dropping still. And, it wasn't a perfect game by any means. Like, this is a really good contest, but there's definitely some technique issues to clean up with him. Side note, I really like his feet, and I have a play to show that as well. Onyenso had this tendency to put his hands on first. And that can easily be coached out. And again, I think we have to keep coming back to the fact that he should be a senior in high school, which is absolutely ridiculous. But nonetheless, he's still able to affect this shot, even with some of these this weird tendency to put the hands on. Still able to affect the shot just because he's so long and lanky and quick off the ground. Similar thing here, just the motif of this video is just the patience, right? The patience and the discipline from someone who's so young and very, very raw offensively. But defensively, he was just locked in. And first game in a college uniform at the University of Kentucky, national spotlight. Oscar Tshiebwe is out with injury. He played 20 minutes in this game, Onyenso did. And you can see, he's just not getting off the floor until he has to. And that's quite impressive for a young guy. Again, recovery here. But I also want to highlight, look at the hip flip. I showed it in the first clip, I think back here. Yeah, that hip hinge, quick fluidness. But here again, you're going to see it. That hip hinge, so fluid on that right foot, and then able to get back to the rim and contest. Fluid hips out of a 7-footer, something I really look for when scouting big men, especially just athletic trait-wise. Maybe you don't have to be the most explosive off the ground or be able to get, your head at the corner of the glass. But if you got fluid hips, that's quite projectable long-term. And I love that play because he ran the court after he got that contest or block. And that's another thing I want to talk about. I don't have that many plays to show it, but he sprints the court, and I love that. Knows his role offensively, get down in the paint, rebound. He clearly, it's only been such a short time playing with Oscar Tshiebwe, but the influence is certainly there. 2-3 years if he stays in a Kentucky uniform, that's big. again, discipline right here, just not jumping. And it's obviously a much weaker opponent, but it's all too common that a young shot blocker is jumping here. Like Damian Collins last year, absolute pogo stick. Freshman is jumping at that and getting himself in foul trouble. But Onyenso is pretty disciplined, and he kind of flies around on this, may miss a box out there. But then he's going to close out. Active feet is able to kind of just keep his balance. This one I really like. He closes out to the perimeter. Yes, he opens up his hips, but he uses the baseline as that extra defender, and he's so quick and light on his feet that he's able to still be a presence at the rim and deter that shot. And then again, stepping out on the perimeter, and boom, you see that hip hinge. I really like that. You see how fluidly he can flip his hips. And he's sitting in a stance here. That's pretty good flexion in his body at 7 feet. But he's so quick to flip those hips, even after the guard attacks his high foot, to cut off a potential advantage and force a kick out. Really, really good stuff. And then obviously gets the block too. I think he might have had more than 4 blocks in this game. Again, you're going to see him, look at the feet there. That's really impressive. He kind of gets caught, doesn't really know what to do, right? But obviously just a freshman, he learns these actions and learns the rotations. But it kind of a miscommunication with him and Aduthiero. But you can just watch really the feet of Onyenso kind of like chopping, making sure he's in position, step out, long stride, and then boom, flip the hips, But you can kind of see how he's able to move his feet very quickly and functionally. It doesn't look uncomfortable for him to be able to go from pivoting back here, stepping all the way up here, and then readjusting his hips to cut off that drive and to just be there. Traits like that, like we talk a lot about athletic traits in big men of just being able to jump out of the gym, but traits like that is where fluid hips and functional flexibility is really impressive. I think this might have been another clip where he did that hand thing. Yeah, you can kind of see it here. You can kind of see it, but he's in this drop and shuffling his feet well again, dropping well, staying between, and hands immediately kind of go on the driver initially. And like I said, this is going to be coached out, but it's just something kind of to look at going forward. Chet did this a little bit too. He had a tendency to do this, but I really don't think this is super concerning. But the timing was pretty good throughout the night, but this like tendency to put the hands on like really kind of slows him down timing wise. Obviously the shot doesn't go in there, but you can see he was maybe like a half second behind. Like I mentioned, not a perfect game from Onyenso by any means, but so I wanted to kind of show he stayed disciplined and patient on the block defending the rim pretty much all night. There was like one time, again, two hands on the body, but there was like one time where he got off the ground and it was right here, and yeah, he still affects the shot just because he's so long and his second jump is pretty good. But nonetheless, if he starts doing this consistently, like he's way, way, way ahead of the curve from where he should be as a high school senior. Someone that was really raw like 1 year ago today, still very raw, like skill set wise. But this right here is a really good sign for the future because he's not expected to do something like this, like probably throughout the entire year. Like this might be an issue to tackle next year. And if he's doing this in the first game and showing comfort like this, he took another jumper that was pretty far off, but the confidence was pretty notable, which I like. So it seems like he's ahead of the curve of where he should be. And I think he could emerge as maybe someone that gets significant minutes, especially if, Oscar Tshiebwe goes down with foul trouble or something. This kid right here, Onyenso, learning from him every single day in practice as, a teenager is going to be tremendous for his development because they have these somewhat similar offensive games where they're not the most, skilled necessarily. But Onyenso, I think's offensive ceiling is quite high if he's already showing something like this in the first game. But nonetheless, I think Ugonna Onyenso showed some really good defensive things today against Howard. Good patience, getting off the ground quick, exploding into the air, really good hip flexion, ability to move his feet and slide, and then still get up and contest a shot. Pretty good mobility skills for him. Not perfect, but pretty good, and something I think that can be loosened up over the year, and probably once he just continues to be in a college weight room. But nonetheless, just really impressive showing for the youngster in extended minutes. And anything that Kentucky gets out of him should really be seen as a bonus for this first year. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.